Thinking, yeah, all right. So we were just in closed session and now we will jump right into 3A, administrative reports.
All right, I am very excited to introduce Ms. Carrie-Ann Kirking, our high school art teacher, and she has some students with us. It's been really fun to watch Carrie-Ann at the high school level because she's not just teaching art, but she's really the experiences that the students have had and how she's connecting it into college and career readiness has been really cool to see. And I can't wait for everybody to see the slides and hear about what you're doing. So first of all, thank you for being a phenomenal teacher and going above and beyond with just really being innovative with our students and giving them the experiences that you're giving them.
Thank you. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you so much, Shania. My name's Carrie-Ann Kirking. I'm the high school teacher at I'm the art teacher at the high school. I also teach hands and clay during the summer at the middle school and the elementary school. Next slide, please. Today, I just kind of want to go over some artists in action stuff with you, showing you what we do over at the high school. Tonight, I really just want to highlight what our students do, because they really do some really cool stuff with what they learned from elementary, moving into middle, and then as they get to the high school, where they're able to take their learning and really move with it. At the high school, I teach grades 9 through 12, so I have the whole big chunk of them up there. I teach with an emphasis on process over product, so not having something perfect right off the bat. Students really focus on having creativity and problem solving, as well as working with their visual literacy. So being able to read a photograph or a piece of artwork, not just looking at it. Next slide, please. For my drawing class, sorry, that was the previous slide. We walked downtown to go draw the buildings, and we were trying to really show their characteristics, sorry about that, within their artwork. So they did a really good job. I'm hoping some of these will be at the School Board Association art show that's coming up. We'll see, though. All right, next slide, please. Sorry about that. Let's see. So part of our state standards is to present our artwork. We have a lot of different opportunities, like the Capitol Conference that we've been participating in for many years, but I've really been trying to incorporate a lot of new things. So our students know that these art shows are available. Next slide, please. And they're able to think through that when their artwork is done, it's not just done and we're moving on to the next thing. They know that their artwork needs to be presented somewhere eventually, whether it is on their refrigerator or in the hallway or eventually in an art show. Usually a lot of them will decide they know that they want to have it presented in an art show, and they'll talk to me ahead of time, and we can kind of decide on what they want to do, whether it's a simple art show like presenting in our district art show where we do annually at the LD Fargo Library, or doing something more competitive. Next slide, please. These art shows are a way for them to just show off their skills and really just celebrate all of their hard work. I know at this one, at the Pyramid, it was really meaningful for me because I sat there eating with my family, and then we had a lot of students come in with their families, and we were able to eat and view their artwork together. And I had so many families come up and talk to me just how much they appreciated being able to sit and enjoy their students' artwork. This one's experience was a little bit different because you really just sat there and got to enjoy their artwork versus coming into an art show, looking at it, and then moving on. So it was a pretty neat experience. And the students who came to it were really proud. So I really enjoyed that one. Next slide, please. Another project highlight I want to talk about was the collaboration we were able to have with CAPE last year. Lisa Shanky approached me asking about having a student design a mascot. So I worked with my foundations class, and we were able to incorporate that into the curriculum where they're learning about the design thinking process and really thinking about visual symbols. The students created all the students created different mascots and their ideas for what to do. This student was one who ended up getting their design picked by CAPE, and it was really interesting to see the students try to think about working with a client and getting that real world experience. But not only that, they also had that civic engagement, really learning about our community and like the programs in our community. Many of them did not know what CAPE was, even though like we have signs in our building, or they'll come into our building and like we talk about it as teachers, but the students really didn't understand what it was. So it was pretty cool to be able to talk to them about that. Next slide, please. These next few I'm going to kind of go through a little quicker, but so like I talked about, I like to build those community connections, building in a lot of art shows or art competitions where I'm able to. It helps to extend their learning just a little bit more outside those four walls of my room. It also helps to build student self-esteem, especially when they really want to do it. And then the thing that I like most is really building our school pride, which we'll see in a couple of these. Next slide, please. So here I have some students that presented at the regional art program in Watertown, just creating a sense of community when they went to go actually see their artwork over at Watertown High School. Many of them got fan mail from people who came to see it, which was pretty cool. It definitely built their confidence. Next slide, please. And then we started our Visual Arts Classic, a competitive art group that really built a strong sense of community. They're some of the greatest kids I've worked with, so it's been wonderful to see them grow. Next slide, please. And then Mrs. Siechlug brought us the opportunity to go to the Art of Writing Conference at the Milwaukee Art Museum, and it was an amazing opportunity to take our artists there, and they were able to view all of the artwork and read or write and draw about it, which was pretty cool. But they were just so inspired, so they were able to bring that into their artwork throughout the school year, which was pretty amazing. Often in the school year, we'll talk about artists, so we were able to tie that into their learning, especially since these were some of our more independent learners. So that was pretty amazing. Next slide, please. Let's see. So for some of our community connections, like I said, I like to extend our learning behind the four walls of our building, but not all students like to connect to competitions or art shows. So sometimes I will do a unit or art lesson where we're able to work with a community partner. So I will work with places like the Humane Society or Horizons, where we're doing a whole group or whole class project, where we're working to really work with the program and extend our student learning in a creative capacity. In this project, they were able to emphasize creative citizenship and learn how art is essential in really like marketing, getting help to help the animals. The students took pictures of the animals, and then they worked to create a donation drive to bring in items from school, and then we took them to the Humane Society. They still talk about this project, even though they're not in photography anymore. Next slide, please. We also worked with Officer Johnson and Hugo. This one was a really great project, just working on supporting our school culture, working with our facility dog. Next slide, please. And then we have some simulated real-world experiences, working with Horizons, where we were able to practice working with a commission. So if you were an artist working with a business, talking with them about what they need, trying to meet what they are looking for, and then producing a piece of artwork that meets what they want versus what you want to create. It also helped the students build something strong for their portfolios, as well as those professional skills. Next slide, please. Then we have things where we collaborate with different groups in the school. So here's one with Yoast, where we're able to really learn some real-time impact. In this project, students were able to see right from the get-go how important their photographs were to the people that they were photographing. We had so many of those people that were at the prom that just were so thankful that we were there to take pictures and capture their special moments. Next slide, please. On these next two slides, we're learning from real professionals from the outside world. So Myad from Milwaukee brought in a speaker, and then we were able to tour their college. Next slide, please. And then we also had an ice sculptor come in and work with us and teach us about ice sculpting related to the Knickerbocker, which was a pretty cool experience, getting to try things out. It was also so important for them to just see how art isn't just like being assigned something from a teacher. It is something that real people do, and it's something that they could do outside of school. Next slide, please. With that, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the new things this year. We are starting to use Artsonia at the high school. This year's freshmen are all using portfolios for this, where they are able to connect with their parents and families, and their families are able to see their artwork in a more timely manner. Since I like to put their artwork out and about just for display, this allows the families to see their artwork as it's finished, and then also comment on that artwork. So the students are getting that like feedback right away. It's just a little bit quicker of that communication process. Next slide, please. We're also looking forward to collaborating with the Lake Mills Arts Alliance. We're starting a National Arts Honor Society and Art Club. We've been working on an Empty Bowls collaboration with the Rec Department, Interact Club, and Sunshine Reach, and then also another Yoast collaboration, creating a paint night experience. Next slide, please. And then my hope for our future is that we'll have some art offerings, expanding community partnerships, and then involving some more local artists to come in and talk with us. If you ever want to come in and visit us, we would love to have you. And then we're going to have our Empty Bowls project, if anybody wants to come see that, on January 24th. And then with that, I want to introduce my two students here. I have Beth Body and Emma Silva.
Hi, I'm Emma.
And I'm Beth.
We're juniors, and we're both in drawing class right now.
Mrs. Kirking has really opened a lot of doors for our high school and opportunities. Recently, I've worked with Mrs. Kirking to have the art club. So with that, like she said, we have the collaboration with Interact and Sunshine Reach. So we're having a community event with the Empty Bowls project. So that's pretty cool.
They also started NAHS, which is a great opportunity for leadership and just spreading the art impact in the community.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I just want to add, I'm so glad to see you do the Artsonia. Like, my grandkids have that at their schools, and I get to see what their artwork looks like then at the middle school. But it's not only seeing their artwork, but I know that the teacher puts in an explanation of what the art lesson was really trying to get at, and it makes that artwork so much more meaningful for me. But it, like you said, it allows me to give direct feedback to my grandkids, you know, and just praise them. And so I know it's a lot of extra work on your part, but I was very excited to see you doing that.
Is there a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So, Ms. Carrie-Ann, you are the only art teacher at the high school, correct?
Yep, I'm the only one at the high school.
I mean, the amount of work that you're producing and your students are producing is amazing. Like, when you think about a bigger district that has multiple art teachers, teachers with specialties that maybe they only teach ceramics or drawing, and I mean, you're just, it's amazing, all the different art that you're providing for the students and the opportunities. Wow.
I give a lot of credit to the students, like these guys over here. We have a lot of dedicated ones that really like work extra hard to help me get those opportunities going.
Yeah, but you can see you're building that community.
Entering some art competitions, so hopefully.
Oh, good. Good. Thank you.
I was going to say, as I was looking over your slides last night for the presentation, I totally thought of our WASB convention and the artists that are hung up there every year and thought, wow, like, so I'm so glad that you know about that and are taking that opportunity on, because it truly is amazing, all the things that you're doing with them.
Yes, I never heard that one before, but they did talk about it at our art conference this fall. So I kind of jumped on that, just trying to promote it with the students. But we had like one that was really specifically interested in it. So she was inspired by the theme of community. So she's supposed to give me the artwork tomorrow. So I'm hoping tomorrow will be the day. But yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I probably should say out loud that she is outstanding. So she was recognized by WA Member Benefits as the outstanding educator in the state. So we're really excited to celebrate that recognition with you. And she will be recognized at the Badger women's basketball game versus Purdue on Thursday, January 8th. During a break in the game. So because we are so close to Madison that if you have the opportunity to attend that game against Purdue, I think just general seating is like it's a $10 ticket. So it'd be great to pack the stadium with Lake Mills fans of you as well and help you, just honor you for that award. So great job.
Thank you.
All right. So, on to the report cards.
Okay, I'm just going to quick note too, note about school board elections. Amy's seat is up for election, and that would be for the April ballot. But there's some upcoming deadlines, as you can see in the board packet. December 26th is a deadline for the incumbents to file the notice of non-candidacy, and January 6th is the candidate deadline filing for all ballot access documents. If we would need a spring primary, that would occur on February 17th, and then April 7th is the spring election. So that's just a quick update on school board elections, and I am going to actually come over to the podium with Aaron to go through an overview of our school report cards. Again, this was a celebration this year of our school report cards. I think it shows the hard work that our principals and our teachers have put in, because it is hard to get movement on a school report card. And this year we saw some significant jumps on our elementary and our middle school report cards specifically. So we do know that our school improvement plans are taking off, and we can't do that in isolation. That is a lot of thanks again to our teachers and our administrators. So next slide, please. We did have a state report cards were released publicly on November 11th. We do have that information prior to that. That information is embargoed from the public. It allows us to work as an admin team to see are there potentially any errors that we need to alert DPI to. It allows us to do a deep dive in preparation for that public release. Next slide, please. One of the biggest changes we saw this year was the point scale actually increased by 1 in each accountability rating category. You can see the 23-24 score range there and what the new score range is. So a little bit harder to get into some of those upper categories. Next slide, please. So just to understand how the report card scoring takes place, that overall score is a combination of the priority area scores, and they're weighted based on the date of availability, but it also very much has to do with our economically disadvantaged rate, which I have circled right there. So on the next slide, and I'm going to do this very quickly, you can see that our economically disadvantaged rate for our district is 24.4%. In the overall scheme of that, that's not a very high percentage of our students that are economically disadvantaged. Therefore, our achievement priority weight is weighted at 32%. So they put more emphasis on our overall achievement over our overall growth in that area. You would see that if you had a higher economically disadvantaged rate, then growth would become more important. Okay, next slide, please. Also, something new that we're seeing this year, they will flag but not penalize districts if the test participation rates fall below 95%. So that will show up on your report card. And it just shows that, according to the last bullet, low test participation used to result in the points deduction, but it's not, but you can see that you don't get an accurate depiction of what your students are doing when you have less than 95% of your students participating. And you've heard at a previous school board meeting, Aaron Siegschlag emphasizing the importance of students and parents not opting out of that state test because we weren't getting an accurate depiction, because in some grade levels, 8th grade was one of them, where we saw a high percentage of parents opting their children out of the state report card. You can see this is our data here, so we do have just above 95% of our students participating. We'd like to get that closer to 100. Also, third grade reading score, new, again, the state report card places on there the percentage of third grade students that are meeting and advanced in those levels. You can see our district was at 70.2%. Again, I know Aaron and Wendy have been working very hard at the elementary level on those third grade reading scores and also on the reading plans. You can see the statewide average is at 50%, so we far exceed that. You can feel free to jump in anytime. You're doing great. Going fast. Okay. Next slide, please. So the front page of our school report card looks like this. This is our actual front page. So you can see the different areas that we are held accountable to, the overall score and rating. You can see the district information. We've created the district statement at the top of the report card that we haven't not changed that for years. And then the scores in the 4 priority areas, which is the achievement, the growth in the groups, the target group outcomes, and the on track to graduation. So on the next slide, you'll see where the achievement talks about where we're at as a district. So we got a priority score rating of 73.7 on that. On the top, you can see in the purple where our district scores in relation to the school districts across the state. On the next slide, that goes into a little bit more detail. So that's a combination of the ELA, the English Language Arts score, and the mathematics score. So you can see in the purple where the district scored and versus where the state average are. So we do exceed the state average on both of those. Again, that's third grade reading, which is the priority score, and 8th grade mathematics. And then that highlights where our district falls in relation to the other school districts across the state. So we are in the upper portion across the state. And the next slide, it shows our overall achievement. Again, I know we've talked at length internally and then also with the board as far as that need for a gifted and talented teacher. And you can see in that turquoise areas our number of students that are scoring in those advanced areas. There's quite a few. I see that as an unmet need because we do have a lot of students that are performing at high levels. I think there's a need to differentiate at that upper level. We still see quite a few students, though, in the developing areas. We would like to obviously move more of those students into those other levels as well. Again, a comparison from last year to this year as far as ELA scores, so quite a jump from 58.9% up to 63.5%. And then mathematics, we stayed about even, just a slight dip in that percentage. And we are analyzing the reasons why behind that. Next slide, you'll see this is a snapshot of our district report card scores and then breaking it down by the buildings over the last 5 years here. So you can see with the district scoring at 77.1, even though we're still in the exceeds category, you see some nice growth over the years. Again, highlighting the elementary school report card going from 72.3 up to 76.5. That was a really a dramatic jump the last few years. As you know, we've worked on the math and the reading curriculum a lot with that. Our teachers have been putting in a lot of work, and we've seen that curriculum helping our students. However, at the middle school, to move from 71.5 up to 78 as a school report card goal, congratulations, Chuck. I think the needle is hardest to move at the middle school. If you're going to see a low score, school report card score, I tend to see a lot of those at the middle school level. A lot of it has nothing to do with achievement. I think it has to do with trying to motivate kids to really do their best on this test in March when we are either just going into spring break or coming off of spring break. So that is really something to celebrate. And then at the high school stayed about the same, still a celebration. We're always happy when we have school report cards that exceed expectations. So we're really trying to get into that next category of significantly exceeds. So the next slide shows our overall growth. This is something that we looked at quite closely as an admin team because it'll show us from a district perspective groups that are performing above the average, areas where maybe we have some opportunities for growth. We saw that in our Hispanic Latino population, that maybe there's some opportunities for some growth in those areas. And so we'll be looking at strategies to increase that growth.
So I'll just clarify, like on that side, so that line, that vertical line going down the middle, that's at 1 year's expected growth, and that's like the growth that you want to see. So everything beyond that 1 year's growth is bonus, right? Like that means we're doing more than the average student. Our students are growing more than the average student in Wisconsin. So just to kind of give you that, that's why we pointed out that opportunity for our Latino population in math, because unfortunately they did not score as well as we would have hoped, or as what we're working towards. So you want to be on that right side of the line.
All right, so you can skip the next slide. Aaron gave a better explanation, and actually I'm going to have you just skip the next slide again. All right, so then you can see this was our district report card for growth, 70.8, and then again exceeding the state averages, and then you can see where our district fell in growth in relationship to other districts in the state. So again, in the top part of the school districts among the state. And then in the next slide, you can see the growth scores by each one of the buildings, again, for math and for ELA. Okay, so the target group. So this is now where we have, as an admin team, started to spend the majority of our time, because these are the students, the bottom 25%, and it doesn't matter where your number is, but it's taking the students that scored in that bottom 25% and identifying them. And so the goal is to see growth out of these students. We do have those students by name, by grade level, so we are working on why. Like, is it not putting energy into maybe taking the test? Is it some hurdle that we have that we need to maybe fill a gap? Is it maybe a staffing need? So just really trying to dig into why did these students not perform as well as maybe we thought they should have. And that's where our principals are taking that down. I keep looking at Renee. Sorry, Renee, you're the one teacher here, so I'm putting it all on you. But really, we're trying to get, and Renee knows because they've got a pretty aggressive 100-day plan and even that 15-day plan they're going into, but they're really digging deep into that specific student data of like, how can we move the needle on individual students? And so that is where we're putting the rest of our time. In the next slide, is the on track to graduation. So a lot of this has to do with attendance and with students graduating from high school, and then also factors in the third grade ELA score and the eighth grade math. We do not have a significant absenteeism issue in the district, nor do we have a graduation problem. So those scores are relatively high as well.
I was going to say, can I pause you for just a second? Because the little tiny print in there talks about the higher percentage of that chronic absenteeism is better, right? So some people might look at that and say like, oh my goodness, that's a lot, right? So,
That's like,
yeah, so
it's the part
it's,
that's missing, that's your chronic
right.
absenteeism.
So
Yes.
it's
For
good to see
clarifying
that
that.
bigger number there.
It's not 92% are not chronically absent.
That means,
yes.
that percentage of our kids are not chronically. That was funny. It'd be real bad if that was your chronically absenteeism.
Aaron and I were really digging through the data, and so I don't know if we came to a consensus, but we were going through each district's report card, and so we subtracted out, we rank ordered ourselves among the 421 school districts, and we took out the K-8 and the 9-12 school districts that are really schools, not a K-12 school district, and we landed somewhere in the 70s.
Early 70s, 71
Yeah.
to 74.
We'll say like, yeah. So we thought, okay, say we're like, 74. So out of, the number of school districts, we're about, ranked about,
494 school districts or 374, I don't know. There's a lot.
right. So we're doing pretty well, but at the same time, I would say we're not content with this. So we also looked at some of the districts that we've been keeping our eye on that are about the same size as us, that have better school report cards than us. And so we've been tracking those 4 or 5 school districts each year. I've been talking with some of the superintendents of the school districts, looking at their strategic plans, looking at their staffing, looking at interventions, and really even their curriculum, and trying to see, like, is there something we can do to help us serve our students better? So we will not be satisfied until we have 100% of our students that are proficient and advanced. Okay, and with that, that is the end of my report. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you. All right, so the next items up, let me see where I'm at. Okay, we're moving on to board reports for A, and we'll turn it over to Esteban.
Hello. So some of the stuff at the high school that's been going on. Today marked the start of the girls and boys wrestling program as well as the boys basketball program. I'm pretty sure the girls started a week earlier. I think they started last week. So that was pretty cool. I'm not sure about basketball, but I know the boys wrestling and girls wrestling, I believe, their first event is actually at home. It's a tri-duel. I don't have like a specific date for it, but I know it is a tri-duel against Waterloo and Deerfield. So wrestling doesn't really get a big crowd, so that'd be pretty cool if we could get some people to go to that.
And Esteban, are you wrestling or are you managing?
I'm gonna be like taking pictures for the wrestling
Taking
team.
pictures, okay.
So, and another thing was the FAFSA event. So I attended that. It was super helpful. It was very easy to like get signed up for everything. So I think that's like, I really liked the event, and I think we should continue to do it. And it was very helpful. The Veterans Day breakfast, that was last week, and that also went very well. I didn't attend it, but I caught like a part of it at the start of school, and yeah, it looked really good. There was a lot of people there. I think we had like a full lunchroom, so that was awesome. The musical, that just happened this last weekend. I've heard lots of good things about the musical, so that's pretty cool. And then one more thing is the graduation stuff. So like, I know, especially with Miss Mitchell, there was I don't know if they've done this in the past, but they have like a Google Classroom with all of the seniors to make sure everybody's getting their stuff turned in, like their Zello and their senior quotes and paragraphs and stuff. So it's been very helpful. So yeah, it's been a great year. December 4th is the first meet at home. So please come.
You know, I would agree with you on the musical was really, really well done. Some really good singers, especially.
Yeah. We didn't get a snippet of it as like the high school, but we do in previous years, and from what I've seen, some of those students are very talented, like
Yeah.
really talented.
Very much so.
So.
All right. Well, thank you, Esteban. All right. The facility referendum updates. I think we can all see them there. There has not been a core team meeting, but I think it appears that the bus barn materials, it's listed on Oasis Lane, that's been happening. Solar panels delivered to the elementary school. A majority of the lighting and sound work is complete at the auditorium. Was a pause for the musical, and then the rest of renovations will be complete afterwards. So other than that, and then there's the executive summary from Findorf on the elementary school. So are there any questions for that or comments?
I was just gonna say, it's been really fun to drop off in the morning and kind of watch everybody working. I mean, there's workers already down there doing all the things they do. So that's really been fun to kind of watch the progress on that. And it sounds like our kiddos have enjoyed watching it too.
Wonderful. All right.
I guess, are we bidding on some of the other projects? I guess where are the other projects at?
So today, Findorf held a bid walkthrough for anybody that's interested in bidding on the high school project. They were there available to answer questions. So then the bidding process is in process right now. On December 16th, we'll be meeting to do a bid review. I know there's been some contractors that have called me and reached out to ask, hey, I want to be able to bid on this project. I know there is an ad in the paper about that, but if anybody's listening, please reach out to Findorf directly, or you can email me and I'll forward that information on to Findorf. So we do want local contractors to bid on the project. We are trying to keep work local as much as it's monetarily feasible to do so. So we are adding local contractors to the list as they reach out to us. But if you are still interested, there's still time to be able to be added to that bid list.
Does Findorf have like specific specs of things that they're looking for that they can give out? Okay.
Yeah, you have to be able, to qualify to be able to perform the work. So that's part of that vetting process.
So then the library, all that at the middle school has all been designed. That's not been, because that won't be till summer. So I'm just, does that go to bid yet, or is that? I believe that was all done as part of the elementary project, just because there's not as much construction. It's a lot of More design.
carpeting and furniture and some structural things. I have to check on that. I think that was part of the elementary project. I know we talk so much about the elementary and the high school project, and just because that middle school library is smaller, I believe.
And just a couple office areas too.
Yeah, and because I think it's kind of the same companies. I have to check on that. I cannot answer that.
Curious. Thank you.
All right, now moving on to the student cell phone policy. The Wisconsin Governor Evers signed the attached legislation, or the legislation that's attached in school board docs, but we're doing all of that already, from my understanding. So the cell phone policy that will be coming will go above and beyond what is required, so.
Right, I mean, it basically talks about, cell phone use during instructional time and banning that, but then there's the exceptions about, or if a teacher allows it to happen, or if a student has an IEP that would require that, or a health issue that would require the use of a cell phone. However, I think the survey data that we put out to the parents and staff and the students was really interesting as far as hearing the student voice. So I think, the board has the ability to define what that cell phone use looks like. Right now, there's no cell phones, permitted at the elementary, but they are permitted during the lunch and recess hours at the middle school. And then I think per, teacher, I mean, it's a little more wide open at the middle school. So I think, you could go as far as a bell-to-bell ban, which some school districts have. You could really just say absolutely not at all during instructional time, but students can have them during passing time. Maybe you don't want passing time, maybe you just want the lunch hour, or maybe, you don't want that. I think that's where the survey is very helpful as far as seeing like, how far do you want to go with any type of restriction? I shouldn't say ban, but, a personal device restriction. And if so, then, right, like at what point do you want to implement that? I know Esteban reported on that since we've gotten the Chromebooks, that you've been able to use the Chromebooks more so, and then even our Wi-Fi hasn't really held up with all the cell phone use and the Chromebook usage, so that's limited, I think, some students' use of the cell phone already, but we've seen a lot of research. I know, Andrea, you send me a lot of articles, but we've seen a lot of research coming out of, kids are talking to each other again at lunchtime. There's more social interaction. Sometimes grades will also go up when there's limited cell phone use. So
I think in the data, that was one of the main concerns of both staff and parents, is that the social interaction is suffering, when students are on cell phones. I think it said over 70% of staff think that cell phones should be prohibited during class time. It was very apparent too that students do not think that that needs to happen. But I think that's to be expected, that, kids would have a different opinion on that. Or no, maybe, am I getting that wrong? No, I'm thinking, I need to look back at that.
So I guess my thought is, what is our, well, now that we have the data and the survey is complete, what do we as a board want to do? Do we want to sit down and have a committee meeting about a new policy, the policy committee proposes something? What would we as a board like to do with the data that we have now?
Yeah, I was going to say, I really appreciate everybody that did take the survey and wrote comments. I probably spent 4 hours last night reading every single comment. So thank you. And so from that, right, I collected my own themes. I created my own questions, things to dig on more a little bit deeper, the what ifs. So yeah, I would
So
hope that our.
hang on, we had access to, I thought we weren't having access to comments because
you have access to all the comments.
I thought that you had said in your email that we had to pay
comment
extra.
analysis because
Oh,
I
comment
thought
analysis.
Yeah,
Oh my
I mean,
God,
they
I
could have put a
missed that.
summary of that,
Okay.
but it was a little bit pricey. So I thought, well,
I
Okay,
gather my own
I
themes,
misinterpreted
yes.
that. Okay, so I have not read the comments yet. I just looked at the bars
yeah,
or
click
the.
like the little button in there. Sometimes it's easy to miss that says view comments. Otherwise,
Okay.
it won't display the comments.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it'd be great if we could sit down as a group, honestly. More heads are better than one, and especially I feel like with the amount of things that I kind of questioned and wondered, and what does this mean for us? Or, can this even happen? What would this mean for IT? All those different various scenarios, I think it'd be really helpful if we're all at the same table talking about it. But yeah, I would love to be able to dive deeper into that a little bit more.
Okay,
Yeah, I would agree with.
okay. So potentially on the December 1 committee meeting, policy, or the committee Facilities and Personnel Committee, potentially add that as a subject item, because I know second quarter's already started, so if things want to get implemented, I know there was talk about implementing implementing whatever's going to be implemented the start of the second quarter, or start of the second semester. So that's coming up pretty darn quick. So potentially on that December 1 committee meeting, we can have a discussion about that and see what the next steps are after that.
I think too, I mean, I definitely don't want, I know that that was kind of our original conversation, but I don't want to rush anything because I think other themes that I read in comments was like, make sure there's a gray area, right? And so make sure that we've really thoroughly thought through this and it makes sense. And so, yes, as much as I hear that was maybe a potential, I want to make sure that we're taking the time we need to as well.
Okay.
It does seem, I was just thinking of the timing. I wonder if there would be a benefit to having it resolved before the summer break. So I was just thinking if you come back to school and now you've got this brand new thing.
Yeah.
Or it would give students time to kind of make the adjustment, I guess.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I know. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. Yeah, also, I know I've had like tons of people come up to me because they know I'm here all the time. They ask like, "Oh, what is like the actual final word? Like, what is the thing?" So I think the students would appreciate if we had like an actual set rule of what it is, because I know a lot of students are wondering like what the actual rule is going to be.
Okay. Well, good to know. Well, maybe, in fact, because you're a student committee, or you can come to our committee meeting.
I was going to say,
On the
I would
first.
love that if you'd be able to just bring that voice of the students there, especially for some of the questions that I have, right? Would really be great to hear their perspective on that a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I'd have to check if I work on that day, but
Okay.
So
I'd love to go.
along with Esteban, I know the students that participated in the Youth Mental Health Summit a week ago also had very strong feelings about cell phone use, not necessarily, because I think with the leaders at that summit talked about, like, oh, you must be in favor of a complete cell phone ban, and they actually said, no, we're not. We're really interested in responsible cell phone use and teaching high schoolers how to use them appropriately, but they did talk about the social interaction as well. So I think not just your voice, but I think some of those other students that participated in it would really also be able to lend, I think, some good information, especially coming off of that summit.
Okay. All right.
Bring them all.
Yeah. So we'll put that on the agenda for December 1. Okay, on the committee meeting. Okay. All right, then if there's no other discussion or comments, we will move on to community input. And that the Renee Mitchell from the Lake Mills Education Association has signed up.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Renee Mitchell. I'm here tonight as the co-vice president of the Lake Mills Education Association. The Lake Mills Education Association is so happy to see that the school report card we saw earlier this evening really shows the excellence that we experience every day in Lake Mills Public Schools. The scores on our state report card reflect the continued collaboration between students, staff, and families. Next, the LMEA is excited to participate in the upcoming insurance and calendar committees with Dr. Olson and district representatives. This commitment to promoting open dialogue ensures that all stakeholders in the district have a voice. Finally, the high school staff will complete the district fall parent-teacher conferences cycle on Thursday of this week. Inviting families into our schools is always a great opportunity to communicate and celebrate student success. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Are there anyone else signed up for community input? Okay. All right. Now we will move on to 6A, public hearing, and due to major construction projects requiring a long summer break in 2027, the board is now considering requesting a waiver from the DPI to begin the 2026-27 school year before September 1. And this request must be submitted to the DPI, the request submitted to the DPI must be adopted as a written resolution by the board.
Right, and as we talked about our construction projects, I've been holding off on the calendar because we've been talking with Findorf, and at first we heard like, nope, we should be okay, and then at that last meeting, they were like, if we could have a little extra time in the summer of 2027, that would really be beneficial. And as we got farther into that last meeting with the phasing of the construction project at the high school, you could just see there's going to be a lot of work going on in all areas, including the office and the main entryway, most of the lower level, the cafeteria, the music rooms, and then the construction of the new gym. So to be able to have that longer period is beneficial, and that's why I've been holding off on the calendar committee, because I wanted to make sure this was through. So I did email staff today just to give them a little bit of a heads up, because I know people like to take that last minute vacation in August to say like, hey, we're probably gonna have you come back to work early, but the bonus is we're hoping we get out about the third week of May. So that would be nice. So, and so I guess part of the hearing tonight is if anybody wants to speak from the community, if anybody has any opinion, either one way or another, they're obviously invited to come up. The requirements are we need to hold a public hearing anytime we apply for a waiver to DPI.
I was just gonna ask, like, with that, like, let's just play the what-if game, major snow situations, even with our built-ins, is there still some flexibility for them if we would need to extend the end of the year because if we had snow days as we needed to make up or something like that?
So, typically I build in about 5 snow days, which is a lot. And that's about 175 days of school. Today, when I was working on it, if I cut that back to about 172 days of school, that would give us it was like 2.65 snow days, what I would propose to the calendar committee, just because I want to condense the school year, is tacking that following, like the Monday and Tuesday, that we would just extend the school year. And then they just wouldn't start construction right on that day. Then there's always the opportunity as well to add a few minutes to a calendar. You could do that. That's a little more disruptive, or sometimes we can find some ways to. If we had to. That'll probably be the winter where I need the 5 snow days now. We've been pretty fortunate.
Bring it up.
But yeah, I think, even getting out before Memorial Day will be actually advantageous. So I think we'll be in good shape. When I talk to the calendar committee, if we feel more comfortable building in a day or two, it really comes down to, what do you want that last day of school to be? Do you want it to fall on a Friday, or do you want to come back on like a Monday or Tuesday? Most people don't want to come back on a Monday or Tuesday. So kind of maybe take our chances with that and have, fewer days and just hope for no snow.
Okay. All right. So then, hearing no public comments, I guess we will close the public hearing. Is that correct? All right. Now, moving on to the consent agenda. This month's consent agenda includes the approval of the following: the October 27, 2025 regular meeting minutes, November 3rd, 2025 board workshop proceedings, volume 34, number 2 policies, and policy 6320 purchasing, treasurer's report and vouchers and invoices, summer school and swim dates for the 2026 year, and the personnel report. Is there any items, including the purchasing policy, that's bumping the authorization from 10,000 to 25,000 before it needs board approval? Is there any things that people want to pull out?
So I guess my thing is I'm still just having this like gut of like, I don't know that I want the purchasing to increase. I feel like I have, and maybe I'm not remembering correctly, but there haven't been an overly ton amount where it's like, okay, we need an extra meeting. I also like when we do have the ability to meet, because then I think it gives the community a really good look as to needs within the district. And so if we bumped it up, then we would be losing some of that, right? For them to see quickly and kind of what's needed and what's going on. And I understand, the ease of it sometimes but again, I think we discussed if it's an emergency, right? It's going to happen anyway, which is what we would want if there's some water main break or whatever. But I don't know, there's just something sitting with me that makes me want to keep it where it is, which would be the only thing that I would potentially pull out of that policy separate
Okay.
on anything else.
Just real quick, if you pull it out, because that wasn't part of the Neola update, as you
Yeah.
remember so it's like, if you just pulled that out, then you wouldn't have to take any further action on it. It would just stay as is, just for clarification for those of you not on the policy committee.
Is there any,
You could always bring it back later if you wanted to.
is there any part of that policy, I'm trying to recall, that talks about whether it's in budget or outside of the budget at all? Or is it just straight?
It's just straight dollar
Yeah,
amount.
a single item, dollar amount.
You want to pull it out and then discuss it more at the next personnel finance? I mean, is that?
I mean, I
something
think
we
we've
can do?
already discussed it some.
Right.
I mean, my thought is the decision can be,
Great, yes or no?
yes or no.
Okay, so
So-
pulling it out would,
I think
what's
we've
the purpose of pulling it out of the
pulling it out
consent
and
agenda?
discussing it again. I mean, if we're gonna pull it out, then it'll be no, then we'll stay at 10.
Oh, okay.
If we're going to vote
I understand.
and keep
Okay.
it in, we'll keep it at 25. So I think that it's been 10 for years and years. And just the idea of what can you get for 10,000? I mean, it's,
How many, I'm just curious how many years, if there's an approximate, that it's been
for at least 6.
6?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I can only see the last time it was revised, so I don't know if that's just been,
I mean, I kind of look at it as like, okay, you have something that's $24,000, right? That's almost 25. You need 4 of those and you're at 100,000. And to me, that's kind of like over a year, that's a big chunk of money. And so I guess, how many, and every year's different, right? Because you never know what's going to come up, I guess. But big picture, if you had to put a magic wand on it, how many of how many times do you think that this would be happening? Right, 10,000 versus 25, like, is that a lot? And obviously you never know because it's in the year.
How many times has it happened?
Last year, the year before.
Not often. I don't think I had one last year.
Floor scrubber.
That was many years ago, yeah.
So, and I think that if it's 4 times in a year and it 24,000, I think that it will be caught by the vouchers and, the treasurer's report and vouchers and invoices. And I would hope that if we're spending 24, if it's not an emergency, it will be brought up anyway. So, but that's my opinion to keep it in, but we'll see. What do other people,
I was just mulling around the idea that it wouldn't be good if you were spending 25,000 or 24,000 and I'll just say, nobody had to sign off or
Right.
anything, and it was outside the budget. I think that I've normally seen these kinds of limitations attached somehow to some level of control, I don't know.
well, it's the 10,000 now.
Yeah.
But it's not like the thought is it's going to be just one person signing a check. There's going to be administration looking at it.
Yeah, so.
But I think, Ken, are you saying like, okay, it would be okay if it was 24,000 on a budgeted item versus 24,000 on a random item that comes up?
I would feel much better if it was 24,000 on a budgeted item, for sure.
Okay.
But I just bring that up as a discussion point at this point. I was originally thinking that, along the lines you were saying, Amy, that, what can you buy for 10,000 nowadays? But then I'm not as close to the purchasing,
I guess, Tasha, it's hard for you to, the budget are pots of money that different departments are spending. So,
Right.
like with the facilities budget, like, yes, we have planned purchases, but there's also extra money in there for when things happen. And if we needed to, it's all about that single budget item that comes up, that if it's over 25,000, we would need to approve it. It's not like you're gonna just add more.
Correct.
It's not like the facilities budget is gonna increase
No,
25,000
No.
or 24,999.
no.
it would be,
Because now you have the power to do that. There's a pot of money for each of the departments.
Correct. That budget stays the same, just out of perspective. So I did pulled a quick report. So about 10 years ago, our overall expense budget was $15 million now, and it was 10,000 then. We're at 21 million now, and it's still 10,000. So just kind of talk about some of the things we
Ratio.
kind of to go off of what Amy had said, how much our budget has increased overall, just to give perspective, I guess.
Do we want to do it to 20,000 or 15,000? I don't know. It seems like 10,000 does seem pretty low and just kind of Like
see
these
the-
policies need to evolve with budgets and prices of things, and, or doesn't it matter and we just call a meeting? I don't know.
I mean,
Are we
in
beating
the
a
whole
dead
scheme of
horse?
things, I mean, it's like, we'll live with it if it's 10,000. I mean, it's gonna come down to like more equipment that I think we'd purchase in the maintenance department. Like, we need a new snow blower, we need an attachment for this or that. You know, a lot of that stuff, is at least 10,000. So it's like in that case, it's not gonna be an emergency, but then if you want, that approved by the board, if it's falls over that $10,000 range, it would be like, okay, well, then we'll just bring, the lawnmower to the board in that case, and you'll just approve the purchase. So that's probably the one example I can think of when you think about a single contract for equipment for the most part. It's usually that bigger equipment that does tend to be a little bit more expensive. And like I said, I mean, we've done it for years, so, I mean, you could always bring it, I mean, if you're not sure today, you could always bring it back around a different time and increase it. It's not gonna really change how we're doing business.
I was
It's
gonna
just
say, I like
means-
your idea of like potentially increasing it, but maybe not to 25. Because from what I remember over my years, we did for the elevator, and I think we did for cubbies maybe at one time for within the 4K system.
Yep.
And to me, like, yes, we want that, right? Like, we know that you're making wise choices. But I just think, I don't know, 25 to me is a lot to increase it to. So if you don't mind bringing it back to the table.
Yeah, we absolutely can. And the other thing is, I think that then it's the 3-bid process as well. Does this affect that?
I don't think that's written in this. This is
No.
just a purchasing amount.
Okay.
We
got it.
typically try to do that regardless. I think it's good practice. We don't always get 3 bids, just sometimes based on the equipment, but we do try to
Okay.
get 3 bids if we can.
Okay. Then,
So I'll move the board, remove the, oh, right? Is this what we need to do?
yep,
Remove, is it volume 34, number 2, policy?
Policy 6320.
Sorry, 6320, out of the consent agenda.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Then the amended motion,
So I'll move the board approve the consent agenda as presented with the removal of policy 6320 for purchasing.
okay, is there a second? I'll second. All right, that's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, can I ask for a roll call vote on
Madam-
the motion?
Brianna Beslick.
Aye.
Ken Imers.
Aye.
Andrea Graham.
Aye.
Abby Hale. Amy Litcher.
Aye. All right. Moving on to the action items. For a resolution to request an exemption to the September 1 start date for the 2026-27 year.
I'll move the board adopt the resolution to request an exemption to the September 1st start date for the 2026-2027 school year.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Questions? All right, hearing none, I will ask for a roll call vote.
Ken Imers.
Aye.
Andrea Graham.
Aye.
Abby Hale. Brianna Beslick.
Aye.
Amy Litcher.
Aye. All right, we are on to the gift part of the action items. And again, thank you so much to the community. Always amazed at how wonderful the community supports the school district. And I will ask for the motion for the gifts.
I'll move the board accept the following donations and extend our sincere appreciation to those generous donors for their continued support of our students and programs here at the Lake Mills Area School District. We have Kip Ensberg for a $100 donation to support family food service accounts, to Jerry Stells for a $100 donation to support family food service accounts, to Jeff Lair for the donation of a graphing calculators to the high school's math department valued at over $100, to Mesa Dairy for a $500 donation to the mill, TT's Timeout for its collection drive benefiting the mill, which included a $1,056 monetary donation and 10 $20 $50 Lake Mills Market gift cards totaling $200, and food valued at over $100. Also to Josh Truman for the donation of 2 tubas to the middle school music department valued at $3,000, and the Lake Mills FFA alumni for donating $1,090 from their ice cream fundraiser at the Lake Mills High School football game, along with an additional $4,500 donation for a total of $5,590 to support our students attending the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, any comments? All right, I will ask for a roll call vote.
Andrea Graham.
Aye.
Abby Hale. Brianna Beslick.
Aye.
Ken Imers.
Aye.
Amy Litcher.
Aye. All right, the next 9A, we'll have the upcoming board agenda items. And we have the committee meeting on the 1st of December, and then the regular school board meeting on Monday, the September 15th, and that will include the audit report, school safety reports, the district calendar, and then new course proposals. And potential marketing and communication assistance proposal, so presentation, I should say. So with that, then, I guess, do we adjourn this meeting and move in, or?
You don't adjourn this meeting, so you already made the motion to go into closed session, and then they recessed that motion, they recessed closed session, so you're actually able now to go back into closed session, and then you'll follow the normal procedure of adjourning
Closing,
closed session and coming out and open and adjourning.
All right.
You.
So,
Perfect.
that's what we're doing. Yeah, and the door is still open, so.